So hello, say hi to Nadia, VP Brand Marketing of the amazing JTunes.
Hey Nadia.
Hi.
Hi Nadia, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to be here.
Welcome to
meeting
Techie Talkie.
you. For those of you that know JTunes I think is probably the largest music learning company in the world today with tens of millions of learners.
Wow.
Bringing people together through music. And Nadia is with them for over 6 years and is in charge of their supernatural growth, if I can say. Hi, Nadia.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling good.
Hello. All right, yourself?
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
How are you?
Great.
So let's start
feeling
with
great.
quick questions.
A lot of joy.
Yeah, quick questions like what's your favorite marketing tool?
So there are a lot, but if I was to choose one, I would say that it's Google Trends. Why Google Trends out of all of them? Because obviously as a marketeer, I like to put in, like certain search terms, keywords, trends, and see how they're performing or increasing or declining. And then from there, I use it for what we call trend jacking.
Trend jacking.
Trend jacking, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So like, for example, in the JoyTunes context, what I'm looking at is, okay, songs. Look at like if you've got, for example, a new Queen movie come out like Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm looking at like who's like searching for like learn Queen songs or something like this.
Nice.
And then it's a great opportunity to create amazing campaigns out of it.
Yeah, that's great.
An example, what campaign you create out of?
Actually, specifically for the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, we saw that there was an increase in people searching for Learn Queen songs.
I did.
Amazing. See, there you go. Because everyone wants to rock out at the piano, right? It's really cool. So then we had like the proof of the sanity of, okay, yes, this is real, people want this. And so we then created some really, really cooler creatives around it, and they performed really, really well. Our Queen creative is still performs well. You might have seen it on YouTube. So yeah, that's an example of how we would use Google Trends.
Nice.
But what would you, I'm just curious, how do you find the specific song that you need, like how does the search within Google Trends get you that insight? Because usually you need to compare things, don't you?
Right, so yeah, there is a comparison, but like for example,
Shows
that's
related
like,
searches.
Right, so like that's one example of where I had something very specific, but in other cases you would just obviously want to just put in a song and then see, and you can filter it by country as well, and like use the comparison that way.
Cool.
Cool.
So next question, what's your favorite brand? Could be tech or non-tech.
So as we're in consumer tech,
Yeah.
and the name of the podcast is Techie Talk, clearly I'm going to choose a consumer tech brand that I love. And one of them that I followed for a while is Calm.
Calm, yeah.
Calm,
Even the
yeah.
name, Calm.
Yeah.
Calm.
Why I like it is because for what they've done, like to the well-being category and their approach, like they started off, with the daily calm first, and it was centered all around meditation, and then they like evolved their offering for meeting, like the user throughout the day with different products and like their sleep stories.
Yeah,
that they did.
that's crazy.
Like,
Bed night stories.
Those voices are amazing. They'll send me to sleep in a second. And also, in their marketing, what I love about their marketing approach and their brand approach is that they have two central premises: simplicity and being authentic. And you can see that all the way through everything that they do.
Yeah.
And I think they've crystallized it really well. And also, who doesn't love watching rain like drop while you're like browsing your Instagram?
The most relaxing ads in the world.
Right. It's like a form.
Voice.
Their like ads are their product.
Yeah. Makes you calm.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us about your unforgettable move, something that you did that went to the books of history.
So I'll choose something from JoyTunes, and one of them, like, we'll talk about a bit more, but it was creating our music learning community on Facebook. and it's called the Simply Piano Community, and it's now the largest music learning community on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big is it?
150?
So now it's over 150,000 members. Not all of them are using the app. Well, there's a great opportunity there. And it's not trivial creating a consumer product centric community on Facebook, full stop, but also, like directly from Israel. And I'd say it's a huge win. It's become an extension of the learning experience. It's outside the product, and the goodness that goes in there, and all of like the product feedback and the marketing insights you get there are just pure gems.
Yeah.
And it was recently recognized by Facebook as a success story in terms of communities alongside Airbnb and Adidas.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's I think everybody's dream, to create a lively community. But how the hell do you get started, and how do you get that traction?
So in the beginning, the goal was 50 people. We could get 50 people to give us feedback. That was my silly goal in my head. This would be like really meaningful. And it really started from the fact that the product in itself, Simply Piano, is part of our brand. It's like the basis of a good brand, like a product, right?
Yeah.
And so all of the amazingness of people sharing their successes and their struggles and asking for advice and this goodness was automatically there right from the beginning in the community. And when we put it in the app of you join the community from the app, then obviously we saw a huge boost. And so already from the onset we had this like huge boost of like goodness from people sharing everything and getting tips from our musicians in Joy Tunes, for example. And it just naturally evolved. And I'd say what we're doing there is just literally the tip of the iceberg. There's huge opportunity to evolve it.
Which companies is suitable for? Like, which companies would you recommend, like, building a community? Because it is something that it sounds like everyone want to build a community today, but for which companies do you think it's more applicable, which less? Why it was so applicable to Joy Tunes?
So for Joy Tunes, it was like really like relevant and actually needed, because think about if you're learning a musical instrument, you're by yourself using an app, so it's quite lonely. And you need that like interactive feedback, which you have from the app anyway, but is in terms of asking peers and asking experts within the company for advice, or if they got stuck or something like that. So it was like a very natural evolution. It suited the product. Like, I think that you wouldn't want to create a community just for the sake of creating a community. You need like a proper goal to begin with, and so for some products it's right, and for others it's not.
So the motivation was mainly sort of that togetherness and the ability to sort of consult. Yeah,
it was like creating, as I said, it's like was an extension of the learning experience right from the get-go, and that togetherness that you get through music, full stop. Playing
bragging
music together. So we do, you get like the bragging, which I would like to say it's, like celebrating successes in a positive way. As well as, like, whoa, guys, I'm completely stuck on this. Did anyone else experience this? What can I do? And what we established was very much like this peer-to-peer community as well. So it's not Joy Tunes coming in on every post and like helping. It's let it run, let everyone help each other, and that's like very much the nurturing environment that we've seen.
Very cool.
All right, failure. Tell us about a glorious failure. And
wow. So I'm going to like tell you my scar that I carry along with me. Great. So after making Aliyah, as you can tell from my British accent, I'm from London, and I worked for 10 years in, like marketing agency style. So very different from the startup world. So on day one of my first startup experience in a company called Fring, which was really cool and innovative at the time, I joined in the middle of a crisis. So day one, I joined this war room of the company announcing to all of their users that they were parting ways with Skype because there was a Skype integration within Fring at the time. And I was tasked with sending this email on day one. I'm reminding you, it was day one of sending an email out to over 12 million Fringsters.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
And everyone, you know, it's like there was an amazing buzz and everything like this. And I was like, okay, cool, yeah, roll sleeves up, off we go. Didn't expect this, but I'm here to do whatever we need to do. And I sent the email out, and then as it was going, like it reached, I don't know, about 200 million, 2 million. It reached 2 million users. One of them wrote back and said, hey, I think you meant to say sorry for the inconvenience and not convenience. I was like, oh my God, how did that happen? So the lesson I learned from this, which I think is applicable to everyone, is one, send your stuff for peer review. You can be so close to it and you can live and breathe it and you'll miss things, and that's only natural. And two, attention to detail, read, check. And that's why I now have an OCD for attention to detail, and hopefully I'll never make that mistake again.
All right, OCD is my life. All right, so the topic today is basically how to build a brandformance machine that, in your case, generated more than 10 million users worldwide, which is amazing.
Yeah, like the 10 million is over, that's an old stat, and it's on like downloads. So yeah, but generated millions of learners around the world.
That's amazing. So let's start maybe with your title. Your title is VP Brand Marketing, right? Which is not that common of a title, I think, here in Israel. So what's your take on the connection between brand and marketing, and specifically the concept of brandformance?
So like for me, I think they're very, very much intertwined, brand and performance, hence this term that's now like bandied out, brandformance. And it's about looking at the brand and looking at the performance and putting them both together. So for example, if we just take a look at our creatives are done with the goal for increasing scale performance. So all of the metrics that we're looking at there are not to do with brand, like brand uplifts and all the typical metrics there. They're to do with the performance side of things. And for example, this is what we're like tracking there, but obviously our creatives and like our product and like our community, they're a form of our branding because it's about the brand experience that you're putting out there and the connection to the audience that you're creating. So for me, it's meshed together, and at JoyTunes, we're very much led by performance first thinking because it's a very data-orientated company. And so that's how I see the two merged together.
Is there a sort of an acquisition function within your team, or is that a different department?
So first of all, we don't have departments. So for example, we have pods. So one, there is no marketing department, and we work in pods, in teams, which are, if you think about it, like small startups within startups. Each team, each pod is laser focused. And within the team in the pod, you have everyone there that needs to get the stuff done. So it's multidisciplinary. So you'll have like product, data, musicians, developers, marketeers, support, whatever's needed for that specific team. And so
for that specific task.
Yeah, for the specific KPI. And the other thing about the pods is that they are responsible for creating that KPI and making the path in order to reach the goals. And so there's a lot of focus, first of all, like you cut the cream. And so, for example, in marketing world, there's no social media manager in JoyTunes because it's not needed. And the other thing is it's very hands-on, very no ego. You do whatever it takes, and you do everything in like the fastest, most efficient way, very agile. So that's my long way of saying, yeah, there's an acquisition pod. And within the acquisition pod, it's not just the campaign managers. It's also like you've got data there, growth analysts, whatever there is that's needed. And then to complement that, there's an in-house creative team that we built, which is called Breaking the Internet. That's our in-house creative team. And it's split between piano and guitar at the moment. So there's 2 in-house creative teams.
So what is really the difference between like a pod and a team? Why it's not, sorry for the question, but why it's not just like the acquisition team? What's the difference?
Multidisciplinary, I think that's
So as I said, like in a team, you'll typically go like by department, right? Whereas the beauty of the pods, which was modeled from Netflix and Spotify, and then we added our own Joy Tunes flavor, is that you've got this multidiscipline. Everyone's like in this together. Everyone's like working like cross functions. So you're seeing things from very different perspectives, which is also like very like an added advantage. It's not like this tunnel vision. And also the difference with the pod is they're independent teams that within a startup, it's the startup within a startup mentality. What does that mean? It means that the pods, each and every single person in the pod has a responsibility to put their impact, work in a very like high ownership way. There's no like hierarchy. It's just flat. Everyone's working like together. And I think that's one of the main differences that you wouldn't get in a traditional team.
So it's unusual, but it's super interesting. So I guess the other question is, as the VP of marketing, how does your responsibility relate to the various pods?
Right. So in Joy Tunes, everyone has a home. A pod is their home because that's the company. And as within marketing, as I said, there's no marketing department. So in each pod, there's a marketeer if the pod needs it, right? So not all of the pods have marketing people in there, which is also like different. And the difference here is that, okay, so I have my home of where I live. And the other part of pods is that we have something called guilds, which guilds complement the pods because that's where you would have like the alignment between the different disciplines. So the guilds are discipline focused, like teams, like guilds.
So there's a marketing guild?
So there's a marketing guild, yeah.
And it's like a matrix, like pods and guilds?
Yeah, so you have like, think about you have your pods and then you have the guilds that will supplement that because obviously, take marketing. You have a marketeer in each pod, but where's the alignment? Where's the knowledge sharing? Where's like training if it's needed? Where's like the brainstorm of like collectiveness there? And
so that's in the guild.
Yeah, so that's in the guild. It's also in the pod, but like not on a discipline level. Whereas in the guilds, that's where, you've got this shared knowledge sharing hub.
Give us an example, how it works on a day-to-day. Like you need to run a campaign, how it works.
So if we take creatives as an example. So you have the creative team.
Team or pod?
Pod. You have the creative pod. I'm like adapting the terminology for everyone
for laymen.
so that they're familiar. So you have the creative pods, and so in there, if they want to like run a specific test, they will think about like the test that they want to run, and then it will be fed like it's very highly aligned. It's like 2 separate pods, but working together. It will go to acquisition and creative team will work together. Like, okay, this is like the test plan. And then also insight-wise, like, okay, the creative's gone out. So how's it performing? Why is this performing well? Why is it not? And it will be seen from the creative side and also the acquisition side. And I think that's like super like different and unique, and it contributed to the success of the campaigns.
What it allows you to do for example, that like a traditional, let's say, org chart won't allow you to? Why? What's the rationale of building an organization like that?
So before we had pods, there was a marketing department, and there were obviously it was done by departments. And one of the leading rationales for turning it into pods was we saw, in effect, when we worked all together as one company, that's considered as one pod, and we all pulled together and everyone had their own areas. But one thing we saw as we were scaling was that the impact velocity is going to be damaged. And we wanted to not be mediocre. We wanted to keep the impact thinking and the focused, agile thinking, and put that on steroids. And so from there, the idea of, pods was born. In Spotify, they call it squads. Every company will have their own terminology.
Platoons.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so this was where the idea was born, from the beginning. And then what we saw is when we worked in these laser focused pods, the impact and the speed, efficiency, performance, everything just accelerated, because you're in this very intense teamwork style of working, and I love it.
It creates alignment, and it removes, I think, barriers of communication.
Right.
Right,
and also again, it's flat. There's no hierarchy. You don't need to wait for anything. You need to be very aligned within your team. There's a lot of independence, individual responsibility, that each and every one of us is contributing to the success of this amazing musical mission that we're doing. And everyone's responsible for it. It's not just, senior management locked in a room. No, everyone has a responsibility and part to play in that impact.
Cool. You describe yourself as a project management geek.
Oh, you've been reading my LinkedIn.
Oh, someone has.
So tell us about how you apply those disciplines to creative and sort of other parts of the marketing tasks.
Project management geek, I say that because within the pod structure, you need to be very, very tight on project management, and I just happen to love that. I there's nothing when you're working
nothing
on a plan.
Nothing like a good Gantt.
Yeah.
You're bored.
Exactly. And I like to, have your charts and your, your tools that you're using, like Asana or Monday and whatever else. So that's the project management geek part there. And in the creative world, and also in the marketing world, product is not just product. I think that creatives are a part. They are a form of product. Creatives are a form of product. Mm-hmm. And so that methodology is applied even in the way that we're creating the ads that go out, and obviously the testing infrastructure.
How gives examples? What do you mean exactly?
So, for example, what's very revolutionary, I would say, or a different way of thinking for our amazing creatives is sometimes, creatives will think from the concept first. And if you're putting the product methodology instead, you will think, okay, what is our goal? Why are we running this? What's going to be the testing plan? What's going to be the MVP to get this out, the minimal viable product to get this out, and go lean and mean to begin with. Then put it out and see, what's actually happening. Is it performing? Is it not performing? And only then, if it is, then you would then go and optimize, double down, so on and so forth. So it's very much the agile way to everything that we're doing.
Do you have a specific campaign example that you run this way, and what's this methodology allowed you to do in this specific campaign?
So an example of this would be when we were testing reaching a specific segment, And we first tested the message. Does this message resonate with our audience? And we did it like really like so dirty, like the image was like horrific. But the message was there, and that was the important thing. And it was like obviously online, so like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And the message like really brought in this audience. And so from there we're like, okay, this is the proof. And it wasn't just about the message attracting the right audience. It was also, okay, what happens later down the funnel? Do they convert? Are they like retained? What's happening here? So when we understood, okay, there's something here, then our creative team, amazing, talented people, got to work on actually putting something out that was like really emphasize the message, but also, you know, like the value prop, and thinking about the audience, and then thinking about the creative concept of how we're going to like portray this. And from there, this is how it accelerated.
All right, got it. So let's talk more about the consumer community that you built. What it allowed you to do, that we learned, that is what is called user-generated creative. Can you tell us more about that? Give us some examples.
Right. So yeah, we're like quite known for doing a lot of different styles of production. So first of all, full disclosure, we do high-value productions as well. We do a mixture of everything. But within the user-generated creatives, this actually came, like the first test came from looking at our Simply Piano community on Facebook. And the Levi at the time, he actually was working part in support and part creatives, and he saw that this mum was posting progress of her 5-year-old son.
Yeah.
And every week she would put a new like post in the community, and this kid was a genius. We dubbed him the Wonder Kid because he was progressing so amazingly. And Levi thought, okay, here we have like a really cute kid. It's really authentic because this is like the real footage of him that the mum is posting. And he's making really fast progress. So if we put all of this and bundled it in a creative, what would happen? Would it perform? Would it not? And also, you know, what type of audience would it bring in? And so from there, that was our first big major like breakthrough. It still performs today. It literally broke the internet. And
the kid progressing.
Yeah, and we call it the Wonder Kid. And he is a Wonder Kid. He's now 9, and he's still like progressing really nicely. He
Still
plays
doing
by
well
himself.
on acquisition.
Yeah, exactly.
Delivering the numbers.
And what that did for us was it opened up a whole new theme called user-generated content. Because who doesn't love real authenticity? I can't say that word. Real, genuine story.
Yeah.
And this is what, you know, performs as well as other things as well. But it opened up a whole theme for us called user-generated content, which still exists today. And also, the mum did it from her iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
No, it's magical. It's like this part in the movie where there's music and you see the progression, and he makes like
it's a great ad.
Yeah.
So how many times was this ad viewed?
So to date, it's like over 120 million. That's
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
Shit.
That's insane. So a third of the US basically watch your ad. But I guess I'm intrigued to know, like you mentioned, you do some high production value ads, but you know, those things are so authentic and beautiful, then why not just encourage the community to keep generating this awesome content,
So-
low production,
Right.
it does the work.
So the Wonder Kid is a unique story, right? And yes, we have like many authentic ads that perform, but in true testing spirit, you need to actually try a lot of things to see what's going to work or not. And we have high value production creatives that also perform. So like we're led very much by the performance. If it's performing, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, that's actually shaping the messaging as well. There's not somebody like me going, okay, you must use only this message and that's it. No, if it's going to perform, then that's actually what we're going to do. Same with tone of voice as well. You know, does humor work? Does it not work? And, you know, we see that different tone of voice will work on different products, obviously, because it's bringing in different audiences and you need to know what's going to resonate. So even our tone of voice is performance orientated at the moment because we're going by what's working, what's performing.
Give us some more examples of user-generated content that worked. Sounds magical.
So also we have, so for piano, obviously, like kids, women, like this is the bread and butter, right? Because it's like the parents and the families, and like piano itself, if you think about piano as an instrument, it will bring up like very much everyone around the piano, everyone together, you know, parent, kid. And so we have another very successful campaign, which also has a kid in it. But then we also will have high value productions that are also performing around families and like, you know, music togetherness and home.
Do you think it's applicable to like any industry or just industries that can photo shoot families together, or I don't know, in like these nice authentic situations?
So think about yourself. What do you like watching? Do you like watching something that's fake? Or do you like watching something that's like a bit more real, that's actually creating a connection?
Emotion.
Yeah, and that's the thing about like music. It's emotional, right? It's inspirational when you're like watching people play, and for yourself, when you're able to play that, getting that emotion out and extracting it, which by the way is actually really challenging, but when you manage to do it, this is real. It's as real as it gets, and that's what people want to see. And I think it doesn't just apply to us or consumer. It will apply to every industry.
How do you see it, like, let's say in B2B, which is still most of the Israeli tech scene? I think it's not JoyTunes, but in B2B, do you see it's working in B2B?
Yeah, like I can see, for example, B2B, if you want to like do a tutorial or something like this, it resonates more if you're like talking in a very like real way, like facing the camera, and not something that looks, you know, like very
formal.
Formal, polished, even in the language and everything like this.
Yeah, life is not a press release.
No, and also think about the way you talk as well. Like I always say, write like you talk. We're humans talking to other humans, so put that inside everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I guess I'm really curious because usually there's this trend of B2C companies sort of leading the pack and doing the most sophisticated, innovative sort of activities, marketing activities. So what lessons have you seen in the B2C world that you think could be applicable to B2B companies? Sort of what's the edge? What's coming next? Show us the future.
Show us the future, Nadia.
Wow, what a big responsibility. There's nothing revolutionary in it. Basically, what applies for consumer B2C will apply to B2B if we're talking in the marketing like terms. It's like the basics. Like what you can think about is, okay, listen to your audience. No brainer. You're going to listen to your audience, whether you're in consumer world or in the business world. Create your value prop. Extract your messaging from listening to your audience, from getting the insights, and then apply everything around that for your marketing activities. That's the same in B2C, B2B, doesn't matter. The difference with consumer, and why I love B2C, is, and especially what we're doing at JoyTunes, is you see the impact immediately when you're in B2C. Like it's like real, it's real, and also the scale is like nothing else you've seen before, like to the masses, literally, to the millions.
Yeah.
And this you don't get that, or you would rarely get that in B2B.
Yeah.
And that's why I think what JoyTunes is doing in Israel is very unique, because we're in a space that consumer and music, put those two together, that's very rare to find. It's like one very unique in what we're doing, and it's a unique opportunity to be part of that, I think.
Definitely. I guess what I was primarily referring to are things like, influencer marketing. That's something that's sort of really, taken the B2C world by storm, and it's not that applicable in the B2B space yet. I'm seeing the first signs of it, but it's not. So I don't know. Is this something you guys do?
So because we work in pods and we only work on the things that are in focus and for high impact, we've yet to untap influencer marketing. So no, we haven't done that yet.
All right. And how did COVID affect JoyTunes? I see you launched this pay as much as you like model, right? What else did you do?
So, first of all, we were really fortunate to be on the upside of Corona.
Yeah.
Before Corona, we had crazy growth. But what Corona did for us was it unearthed this desire that we knew that people really want to be able to play. And so we had this ripple effect that suddenly everyone was at home, they're in lockdown, and they're looking for something meaningful to do during this time. And they want to, add a new skill, like learning a language, like doing fitness and whatever else. And music learning boomed during this period, which everyone turned to our apps. And we saw, accelerated growth from that. So then what we did was, obviously, the stress of this crisis, that it still exists. The fear of going back into lockdown or bidud is like, no. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to remove, the barriers of anyone wanting to be able to play during this time, like what we're doing for music learning full stop, removing the barrier, democratizing music. And so we launched this Pay What You Can initiative so that anyone could pay what they want. We'll donate the proceeds. And it made everything, a lot more accessible in really, really difficult times. The other things that we did was that we wanted to really give back to our learners and our community and also the team, right? Everyone was experiencing the same thing. So we, again, listened to what was going on the ground, and we saw, okay, for example, our teachers, we work in collaboration with teachers. We have a teaching tool called Piano Maestro, and the teachers were going through hell. They were losing students, their businesses were going down, and we wanted to relieve the financial burden. And so we just made the app free for them for an extended period so that it would enable remote teaching. That was another example. Another one is that our learners were going through the content like crazy, and they wanted, new content, new songs and new courses to play, like everyone probably experienced or still experiences, like, I've run out of Netflix, now what am I going to do?
Play the piano.
Exactly. So we created musical challenges where every week there would be like a new song. It was called the Good Vibes Challenge, and now challenges are a staple in what we do. We did live music Q&A with our musicians for the community so that they could get more resources. We did musical performances, obviously, because that's us. And so we basically provided real value where it was needed. And these activities still continue today.
All right. Maybe last question for me is, what's the secret, Nadia? There are endless music learning apps, right? And there were endless apps before JoyTunes. What made JoyTunes this amazing success? What do you think?
I think a lot of it comes from product market fit. And, the products themselves have actually provided like the value. What we're doing is really building something very meaningful, which the scale and the success has proven that there's a real need for it. And so I think that those two things, like the products and the value that we're providing around the world, is like incredible.
I think the delivery of JoyTunes, the app itself, is like, it feels like a game. So it's not like you're going through this lesson and you're playing a game, and the outcome is you know how to play, which is great. You're playing and you learn how to play an instrument.
So like in messaging,
it's a bit like Rock Band,
right? So there is a difference. So like it is gamified, but it's not really like a game like that, because you're actually learning real life skills. It's not like with our apps that you'll play one song and only know how to play that song with those notes. No, what we're doing is we're giving the ability to be able to actually really learn how to play and then translate that into real life. And I think that there's a big difference there.
Cool. Nadia, any famous last words to the startup community who want to learn not just how to play an instrument, but how to do marketing as well as JoyTunes?
I would say that if you haven't adopted the agile methodology yet for marketing, then do it. It's not just for product or developers. It is amazing for marketing as well. And the agile methodology of okay, what are we building? What's this test? How are we proving that if this is going to work or not? What's the measures for success? Then if you see something, double down, optimize, remove the cream, work in this agile methodology for marketing. Highly recommended.
All right. Last recommendation. Do you have anyone to recommend us to invite to the next episode of Techie Talkie?
So I would recommend Sharon Erd. I probably not pronounced her name wrong. I'm really sorry, Sharon. From Pitango. Yeah, she is just an incredible person, incredible human, but also an incredible marketeer. And the things that she's done with Pitango, like for example, their latest rebrand, and also the way that they have a very people first methodology within all of their activities, which is similar to JoyTunes. So she's super interesting, and she's just an all-round kick-ass marketeer and person.
Awesome.
Nadia,
thank you very much.
So much for coming.
And go learn piano, everyone.
Yeah, I know piano.
You know how,
go learn music.
Go learn guitar.
Go learn
drums.
It's not just piano. Go learn music.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.